Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for September 14th through 18th, 2020. How are you doing? Wow, what a mixed bag of energies. Are you feeling it? With this Jupiter turning direct that happened yesterday, the day before, um, it's this huge acceleration of spiritual energies. And yet we're feeling the lockdown, the oppression, the chokehold that's been on this light, that's been on this truth, this whole what's coming forward right now is like a microcosm that we're living out of the macrocosm picture of this whole evolution that's been about holding back spiritual ascension. And now it's finally time to go. And that's kind of the energy of this Jupiter moving direct. And yet there's an oppression energy coming in with Mars retrograde. And then it's going to be coming back into square with the Capricorn planets, representing authority structures and no, you don't, and limitations and programming. And this whole time we're in, it's like a bloom of this whole story of, and maybe that's part, maybe it can be validating in a very uncomfortable way for the SuperNova soul that that it is time to move forward in these ascension energies, but also that like this has been the whole deal. This is what it's all about. This whole thing, everything that's happening in the world right now, everything that's ever happened in this Earth evolution is this dance, this restriction holding back, starting back in Atlantean time of forces, control energies, higher dimensional, just above us, higher dimensional energies controlling us through fear and trauma to keep our evolution back so that we could stay as a slave planet. Now it's time to move forward. It's happening. But what's going on for the supernova soul is we've got to adjust and deal with all of the programming, fear programming, and belief systems and fear, being basically controlled and restricted, like our prison, our quarantine. What happens when that just falls away? So as we move into the lighter ascension energies and give ourselves permission to start to establish there, there's a dance going on, and it feels like that's what this Jupiter turning direct, Mars just turned retrograde a few days before that, and it's this dance of forward, backward, forward, backward. What are we doing? Because there's the Stockholm syndrome going on where we're not vibrationally comfortable with the higher frequencies. And so we are facing where we don't feel safe in these energies. And there's so much programming. I mean, there was a whole age of catastrophes in Atlantean time designed to keep us in this fear programming. And the fear programming says that these ascension energies require breaking of the physical world, breaking, hurting, the earth, catastrophes and all that. And it's a lie. It's not true. Those catastrophes were created by off-planet weapons, targeting you, advanced souls, so that you would never, ever come into your power again. And then you're just going to get the green light, right? Because what's happening right now is that the control energies, as much as we're seeing just a real lockdown, oppressive energy right now, the lower matrix is dismantling. And we are, just by the nature of where we're at astrologically in the solar system, in the solar system moving through the galaxy, we're just getting this green light, except for that we are scared of it. We're scared of our power. We're scared to be free. We didn't even know how restricted and constrained we were. And so you move into those energies and get kicked back down into whatever's keeping you in fear, and also the most traumatic past life coming up, visceral experience, these old stories. And this Virgo, we're moving into the Virgo new moon energies. That happens on Thursday, the 17th. And new moons are always a new start. And Virgo is kind of this a picture of the high priestess, the purified feminine. And it's time to step back into this, a fresh start. Because at the core, deep, secret, hidden mysteries information that we as advanced souls have worked with, we have in our soul memory, we have it in our DNA around spiritual ascension, involve deep mysteries of the feminine. And these have been silenced. And it's been a big part of the persecution of the female. And this Virgo new moon is like, okay, because we've got Venus and Leo, and it's like, step back out into the light of day. Enough silencing, enough persecution, enough of this. And you know how I was talking about this is like we're having a mini bloom of the whole story of the Earth evolution, right? And this is kind of evidence that we're moving into a different relationship to time, higher frequency vibrations, new dimensional energies. It's a completely different relationship to time. It's more cyclical and in a circle, not in a line in our 3D conception. And so that's kind of what's going on with this shift of ages too. We're like having a mini bloom of the whole story of the Piscean age in 1 year of 2020. It kind of feels like, right? And we're like reliving the whole story. And this chokehold on the light and the persecution of the light and the holding back of truth and suppression of truths. And so it's a very, very interesting time. And with the accelerating energies, there's definitely a different, like this relationship to time, but a different way of, I mean, just things are weird. Things are very weird. And the main thing that's going on for the supernova soul is the resistance to these changes. You know, it's like, okay, here, you've been trying to get out of this quarantine prison for all of these lifetimes, and now the door's just opening. And it's like, are you really safe out there? Because you bought into the fact that you had to, Chiron and Aries, completely deny the truth of who you are to stay safe on Earth. You have to hide who you are, even from yourself. These secrets, this deep mysteries, it's like, it's all connected to the bigger spiritual part of ourselves that wants to come and land and be here on the Earth. So we're just at this crazy, crossroads of time right now. And we're really feeling it with that Mars retrograde, Jupiter direct. It's like, you know, moving a little bit, but then you're going to encounter that fear and resistance that's going to come up, is coming up in your body. It's actually evidence. The fear and resistance is evidence that you're moving in the right direction, but it also kicks you back into the old timelines, the old stories, the old personality constructs. And it's like, oh, can I climb myself back out of this? You know, these trauma stories and this whole trauma pictures energy is how we got stuck here for so long, you know, how we've been held back. And we've got to get ourselves out of these old stories, you know, and go from the de-evolving death process, replaying into, you know, just, it's almost like, and maybe that's the mini thing going on right now. It's like the replay of these stories and getting kicked back, you know, moving forward to the new, kicked back into the old. But maybe it's like we're gaining momentum to like centrifugal force to like kind of pop us out into a more ideal timeline. But it's a crazy dance right now, and yet so potent and so powerful. And you're being shown these trauma stories that keep sucking you back in to the false self, right? So these trauma stories from past lives that are coming up, those are exactly that, stories. And yes, we experienced them. Yes, they were traumatic, but it was all about getting us trapped in 3D and attached to physical reality and bracing, you know, for dear life. Like, you know, these advanced souls, so sensitive, and this world is so intense and so painful and so dense and heavy. And it's like, just get me through this, get me out of here, you know, how just bracing. And then But then we're stuck in the lower karmic trap of, having made contracts with lower dimensional energies, and then we're just, so it's like we're just trying out being outside of those limitation energies, and then we will find ourselves being sucked back in. And it's a weird thing. It's like maybe this is what's being asked of us right now, is just to really pay attention and be present as much as you can to when you do feel fear and anxiety, and what that's kind of going on, because what's really going on beneath the scenes is this dance of whether or not it's okay for you to be free and be who you really are here, and come into your full potency and your power and all the programming that goes along with that. So it's like we're just forwards and backwards, and that's exactly the Mars retrograde. And we got to like just be really present to these sensations, and recognize them as resistance. That I have this anxiety and fear. I wonder if that's because I'm just not quite comfortable. I felt better for a while. I kind of felt like well-being, like everything was okay, even though there's a bunch of crazy stuff going on. I kind of felt like it was okay for a while, and then whoa, fear, anxiety, I'm not safe. I gotta, and so this is our dance we're in right now. And if you can just really be present with those energies coming up and being like, this is all programming. This is an old story. It's a story of a false self. That's not who I am. And it's like what we're being asked to do with this Jupiter direct is that it's coming into back into that sextile with Neptune. And it's like we've got to grab a hold, make real, be present with spiritual ascension. Like we're going there. This is what it's about. This is why we're here. This is what's happening. It's like we got to make it real. We got to establish that City of Light, Shambhala, garden energy in our field, and deliberately with our soul group members as we call them in. And that's what this next month is about. Really important. But it's interesting because Mercury is heading into now a square with Jupiter, and Mercury in Libra in square with Jupiter in Capricorn, but Jupiter now direct. And so we've got this tension there around relationships, and a big energy here coming up. So huge, so mysterious, but so real. This programming that says if you go any further, if you go any bigger, if you go on your path anymore, allow yourself the higher energies, allow yourself the spiritual ascension energy, allow yourself the higher timeline, you'll be completely alone. You'll go further and further away from connection. And that's a program. It's not true, but it's really real. I mean, it's just coming up. And same with the fear energies. And, maybe I'm safer back in my prison. Like maybe an example comes up as ancestral contracts, loyalty contracts to our lineage, our family lineage, and kind of like, well, to be loyal to them, I got to stay in this old energy. I got to stay in the family monster. I got to stay in the sickness and then the energy of like, yeah, because if you're not, then you're not part of the tribe. You're not a part of it. You're going to be all alone, and you're leaving us behind. You can't do that. Just the gloomy energies, and so it's taking a lot of presence right now with this crazy behind the scenes subconscious play that's going out as we have a mini microcosm of the whole Piscean age. And a mini microcosm of this whole evolution back to Atlantean time. And so I guess the message is just to like stay present as you can, so that then you can recognize the resistance and the fear. And then you can kind of be like, oh yeah, that's that old story, and that's not true for me. And it's like, we're just running out of options here. And our loyalty contracts really did have weight, but they can't hold anymore. They can't hold us anymore. They're not strong enough to hold us back anymore, but there's still that confliction. And what a dance. And every stride you make towards establishing this energy of why you're here on the planet supports your soul group, And everything your soul group, their advances, their shifting is then can support you as well. We're in this together. And the very first step is, there's still so much fear programming around coming together, but working together on the astral plane, opening up to the feeling of the support of the ascended masters associated with your soul group, as well as your soul group, can be really helpful right now. Our next step of like really establishing. Because as powerful as you are and as much permission as you give yourself, if you're just one person trying to hold a different vibration for paradigm for this whole deal, is just, you can only get so far. We got to come together and do it together. So really, really powerful energy, because like I said, that Mercury, back to that Mercury in Libra, it'll be right at the new moon, on the day of the new moon that this is exact. Mercury in Libra is saying, and square with Jupiter, who wants to move out of the control energies and into the ascension energies. But Mercury's saying, you won't have any relationships, or your relationships, they didn't say it's okay. You don't have permission. You need to make sure to make everybody else happy. The tension between making the people around you happy and being free. And it's just going to get more and more tense, right? It's just till we crack that seed open. And once you feel into those higher frequency vibrations, it's way easier to give yourself permission. But again, you're going to come up against all the programming that's keeping you playing small. And it's hard because it's like, well, wait a minute, I didn't even know that I was big. So I didn't realize how small I was playing. And I've been in this vow of secrecy, of these spiritual secrets, for so long that they're secret even from myself. And yeah, I'm being asked to like step ahead and lead the way. It's just a crazy time. We're bouncing around between dimensions, bouncing around between timelines, bouncing around between dimensional realities and time, a relationship to time. And all of that is evidence that it's happening. And you have been given that green light. And are you going to take it? Are you ready? Or do you have some more adjusting to do? And this Mars retrograde showing you exactly what that is. And Jupiter direct just now wants to bust through all of the bullshit programming and contracts where we've given our power over to these lower dimensional reptilian creaturey like things that have been controlling our evolution. That's just for far too long. And buying into these stories, letting this Maya 3D reality keep us beautiful, big star beings trapped here for so long. And it's just been long enough. It's time now. And so now we're in the dance of trying to come out of resistance and give ourselves permission. But that also means that there's more and more. You got to really pull back from what's going on in the world right now. It's one of these times where you need to hold a constant vigil for the truth, because there's so much BS going on. And you got to be like, okay, there's smoke everywhere outside, like there's massive oppression going on. There's all kinds of lies and deceit. There's masking. There's just this oppressive, but all of it is that proof and evidence that we are doing this spiritual ascension. And that's why you're here. And just so like the vigil is to live and breathe this truth that you're here for something greater, your greater self, this ascension, finally coming home to who you are, finally feeling better, finally having a world that fits you rather than cramming yourself into this, round peg in a square hole energy. And it's a flick of a switch and it's night and day. And how do we adjust to that? And that's what this time is about. So it's like the more guidance comes out, the less it seems to make sense. So we'll kind of just sit with this, but just know there's a lot of push pull. And that's also the dynamic energy we need to get somewhere. And it's like, we are getting somewhere actually. And that's the vigil, right? It's like, this is happening. This is real. And that with another supernova soul, so much easier, right? And so again, this deliberate energy, working on the astral plane, seeking out each other in person and being like, yeah, this is our reality. This is what's happening. And how exciting is that? And yeah, they want to tell us a whole bunch of crap stories about keep us in fear, keep us in oppression, keep us in the failure energy. It's like, no, we're doing it. It's happening and it's real right here. So pretty powerful energies. We're all getting pushed and shoved and bossed around by this world and each other, because Mars is frustrated and feeling like demasculated and can't move forward and can't figure things out and can't stand up for itself. It's like just that feeling of having to roll over and take it. And we've just done this for so long, but we know that the war type of fight won't take us there anymore. And then, so we've got this angst and aggression, pent up aggression with the Mars retrograde, and then coming back into the square with those Capricorn planets and authority and laws and rules and no, you don't. And yes, you do. And no, you don't. And then we've got all these Capricorn planets, and Capricorn is like bossy, wants to tell everybody what to do. It's the authority. Like, you should really do this. I can't even tell you how many comments I've gotten and messages like, this is really what you need to do. And it's like, how about you go do your thing and I'll take care of my thing. But everybody wants to just judge and tell each other what they need to do right now. It's almost like maybe that's humanity trying to get some kind of grip. We're really trying to get a grip right now. The collective is freaking out. And your grip that you're trying to get is on the invisible world that's been told to you it's a lie, this, for so long. And you have to hold on to this invisible world and let it be real in your heart, While everybody around you is operating like in chaos. But it's a really also that dynamic time too of just amazing messages and lining up of the planets and the stars supporting us as we jimmy the lock on this evolution and get this party started once and for all, finally. And it's coming around the bend quick. And this is our time to prepare and be really present and be in the vigil. This is one of those crucial times on the planet where there's trying to do negative creating, the control energies. And it's one of those times where the astrology, how it lines up with the energies of what's happening on the planet and politics and, all of that is just so uncanny. And so we're just, it's all hands on deck type moment for these next 6 weeks. And being just in that vigil of like, this is why I'm here. This is what this is about. This is what's real. Even though none of you can validate, don't even want to talk about it, don't even want to acknowledge it, and argue with it. It's like, nope, this is what's real. And you have the power to create your world. This is the shift that seems to have happened in these last couple of lunations. It's really a gateway opening, but are we ready to come out of jail? And did we know we were in jail? And why were we in jail? And just, it's like very confusing time, but we're doing this dance to make room for that bigger spiritual self, that bigger spiritual truth to land home and get on with it, with this story. And we're just right there at the edge. So hang in there. And I look forward to seeing you. Maybe you can join for the Virgo new moon activation that is happening on this Wednesday, 12 hours before the actual new moon. And new moon in Virgo, it's that fresh start, stepping out of the shame of the shadows of these distortions and lies that goes, when we really talk about it, it's like the way that the control has been able to happen for so long, so many thousands of years, is this distortion of making the light dark and shameful. And the dark taking control of the people through fear and trauma. And it's just like, enough of these old stories, right? And yet we've been so pulled back into them with those traumatic past lives coming up. So such an interesting time, and I hope you'll can join me for that Virgo new moon activation. If you can't make it live, the replay will have the energy there encoded. And so if you can't make the live time, just know the replay will be there with that energy for you. It's outside of time. It's available on the quantum field. And so uh, we will step into the light together and out of the silencing, back into the discovery and the openness to who we really are in our bigger spiritual self, revealing the secrets of our own deep mysteries and bringing that feminine part of ourselves out of the shadows and into the light. So I look forward to seeing you maybe on that activation or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.